Welcome to this deep dive. Today we're really plunging headfirst into a political situation unfolding right now in Bihar. Honestly, it feels less like straightforward news and maybe more like a political thriller playing out live.
It really does. Quite something. We've been looking through everything we can find on this sudden, very public shakeup happening right at the heart of one of India's, well, most well-known political families.
That's right, yeah. It's all centered on the Rashtriya Janata Dal Party, the RJD, and its founder, Lalu Prasad Yadav. And what's happened involves a, well, pretty dramatic decision about his elder son, Tej Prasad Yadav.
And it seems like the whole thing just exploded from something, relatively small, a social media post.
Yeah.
But somehow that lit the fuse for this major family feud.
And it led to an expulsion that's got political circles just buzzing louder than a Patna Market Square on, like, election day. It's really captured attention.
Absolutely. So our mission here in this deep dive is to try and cut through all that noise, maybe pull out the most important bits of information we could find.
And help you understand not just what happened, but maybe why it's such a big deal in the pretty complicated world of Bihar politics.
Okay, so where do we start? How did this all unfold? It kicked off very, very recently, May 24th, 2025.
Exactly. That's the day. Tej Pratap Yadav, he's the MLA for Hasanpur right now. He basically sent these ripples through the political scene with a post on his verified Facebook account.
Yeah, and it was quite the declaration. He stated pretty openly that he was in a 12-year-long relationship with a woman named Anushka Yadav.
The post itself, I mean, it read like something straight out of a movie script almost. Included a picture, a clear statement identifying them both.
Proclaiming their long-standing love and saying, he decided to finally share it publicly. Quite bold.
And then, almost as soon as everyone started reacting, scrambling to figure it out,
Yeah.
poof, the post vanished.
Right, taken down super fast, faster than, well, let's just say it didn't last long at all.
And by Saturday evening, he pops up on X, formerly Twitter, claiming the post wasn't even him.
Yeah, alleging his account had been hacked, that the photo was maliciously edited, part of some deliberate attempt to defame him and his family. He told everyone basically, ignore the rumors.
Now, this is where it gets, really interesting based on what we've seen. The idea of a sophisticated hack just to plant a romantic confession, especially now, in 2025. It does raise an eyebrow, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. You sort of wonder about the details there. And what we found particularly, let's say, notable is the apparent lack of any formal police complaint about this alleged hacking.
Right. If a politician's verified account is genuinely compromised, especially so publicly, wouldn't you think that's the absolute first thing you do? File a report?
Exactly. That absence, it certainly fueled a lot of the speculation. It leaves many people questioning if it was a real cyber attack or, maybe just cold feet after putting something very public out there.
Either way you look at it, though, genuine hacker or post, he quickly regretted that moment online. Definitely lit a fire right under the Yadav family's very carefully managed public image.
And the response from Lalu Prasad Yadav, the RJD patriarch, was incredibly swift. The very next day, May 25th, he put out a statement on X that was just remarkably blunt, impactful.
It was really stark, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He wrote quite explicitly that ignoring moral values in personal life weakens our collective struggle for social justice. Strong words.
Very strong. And he went on to say that the activities, the public conduct, and the irresponsible behavior of his eldest son, Tej Pratap, were simply not in line with their family values and traditions.
And the consequence he announced was just as direct. No messing around.
Not at all. He said, therefore, I remove him from the party and the family. From now on, he will not have any role in the party or the family. He is expelled from the RJD for 6 years.
Wow, 6 years. That's a long time in politics, isn't it? It felt less like just a suspension and more like a kind of full-blown dissociation, politically and personally.
It did. And Lalu also added that line clarifying Tej Pratap was, capable of discerning the good and bad in his own personal life.
And that anyone associating with him from now on would be doing it at their own risk, like a warning shot.
Yeah. This wasn't just some private family issue spilling out. It felt very much like a deliberate, strategic public statement, especially, as you said, with the timing right before the Bihar Assembly elections.
Yes. And it really speaks to the RJD's core identity, doesn't it? The party leans so heavily on this perception of the Yadav family's unity, their strength.
Particularly because their whole platform is so deeply rooted in social justice. So by making this very public declaration about Tej Pratap, Lalu is sending a powerful message.
What message is that, do you think?
That the party's image, its stated values, they take precedence even over his own son. It's a calculated move, really, and it highlights the intense pressures inside these political dynasties.
Okay, so to really get why this specific incident might have triggered such a drastic reaction, maybe it helps to look at Tej Pratap's history a bit.
Yeah, that context is important. He's definitely been no stranger to public controversy over the years, and well, not always for the best reasons.
We saw details going back a few years. Like in 2018, he had that really high-profile marriage to Aishwarya Rai, the granddaughter of a former Bihar chief minister.
Right, that was a huge event in Patna. Everyone reported on it. But then, pretty dramatically, just 5 months later, the marriage completely fell apart.
And that divorce became this very, very public spectacle. Tej Pratap started the proceedings, made allegations against her.
While her family publicly accused the Yadavs of harassment, it all played out in the media and the courts, drew a massive amount of attention.
And since then, his public actions have often seemed, well, unpredictable.
That's a fair way to put it. Reports mention things like him claiming to have spiritual visions, or that time he was caught on camera pushing an RJD worker during an oil.
Right, he later said he was just trying to save himself, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And he also has a history of using some pretty colorful language about political opponents.
Like calling Bihar CM Nitish Kumar a Gurjit Ratna, basically a Chameleon Award winner.
Exactly, reflecting his view of Kumar's political shifts. So yeah, these incidents, they paint a picture of someone whose public persona has been, at times, quite volatile, generated negative headlines.
So this latest social media thing, whether it was real or a hack, seems like it was just the final straw for Lalu Prasad Yadav,
Yeah.
especially now at this critical political juncture.
It certainly looks that way, which brings up a really critical question, doesn't it? What does all this mean for Tejashwi Yadav?
Lalu's younger son, yeah. The
Yeah.
one widely seen as the RJD successor, the rising star.
Right. So Tejashwi did speak to the media the day after his father's announcement, and he struck a very, very careful diplomatic balance, it seemed.
How so?
He said, "We cannot tolerate such things," referring to his brother's behavior and the impact. But then he also made sure to add that political life and personal life are separate. Tej Pratap, has the right to make his own decision.
Ah, okay. That sounds like a real tightrope walk, actually. Acknowledging the problem, supporting his dad's stance on party conduct.
Exactly, but also creating a little bit of distance by framing some of it as a personal matter. It's the kind of nuanced response you'd maybe expect from someone who's effectively leading the party, potential chief minister candidate.
Trying to navigate family loyalty, political reality, and keeping the party focused. Makes sense.
And by quickly emphasizing the RJD's commitment to the people of Bihar, broader policy goals, Tejashwi seemed really intent on steering the conversation away from family scandals.
Back towards the party's actual political agenda. A clear attempt to manage the narrative, minimize the damage.
Absolutely, because the timing of Lalu's decision, well, that's undeniably a huge part of the political calculation here.
With Bihar's assembly elections just around the corner, the RJD is in full campaign mode. Tejashwi's leadership is key.
So Tej Pratap's social media incident, from a campaign perspective, it really could not have happened at a worse time.
Yeah, the party needs to project unity, stability, a public family scandal, especially one framed around moral values.
It risks undermining that carefully built image of the RJD as the champion of social justice, especially in a state like Bihar, where public perception of leaders' personal lives can be, well, pretty critical.
And you can bet the opposition jumped right on it.
Oh, immediately.
Yeah.
A JDU spokesperson apparently called Lalu's move an eyewash, suggested it was just a pre-election tactic to quickly, try and clean up the RJD's image before the vote.
Did they bring up anything else?
They even brought up the 2018 divorce publicly again, pointedly asking why Lalu's conscience didn't wake up back when Aishwarya reportedly faced difficulties within the family.
Oof. That's politics in Bihar, I suppose. That kind of counterpunch is pretty standard.
It is, but looking at the dynamics, this very public disciplinary action might actually be the RJD's attempt to turn a liability into something else, maybe an asset.
How so?
Well, by publicly and decisively expelling Tej Pratap, Lalu can try to project strength, accountability, a commitment to principles, even if it means airing some very public family discord. It's a gamble.
Let's circle back just for a second to the social media angle. Tej Pratap's claim. Facebook hacked. Photo malicious.
Right. It's certainly possible in today's world. Hacking happens. But, like we said earlier, the lack of any public information about a police complaint being filed, It makes the claim harder for people to just accept at face value.
Yeah, if your account as a major politician is hacked to post something damaging, wouldn't you want an official investigation? Would that be a priority one?
You'd think so. But instead, his immediate public response was just delete the post and tell supporters to dismiss it as a smear campaign.
And judging by the online reaction we saw, a lot of people were pretty skeptical.
Oh, yeah. The comments, the discussions online, people were comparing it to his past relationships, joking about the 12 years duration he mentioned.
It just highlights how quickly a politician's personal life gets scrutinized, commented on, especially now. One click, one post, and the whole narrative can shift dramatically.
So while hacking is always out there as a possibility, the speed of the removal, the lack of apparent formal action afterwards, it does make the hack explanation feel less convincing to a lot of observers.
Leaves the door wide open to other interpretations, right? Like maybe it was a genuine post that was just very quickly regretted under family pressure or political pressure.
Precisely. Now, stepping back a bit, Lalu's explicit framing of this expulsion around moral values and family traditions, that's significant too.
Also,
The RJD has fundamentally built its entire political identity, its support base, on advocating for social justice, particularly for marginalized communities in Bihar.
okay.
So Lalu's statement linking Tej Pratap's personal conduct directly to weakening the collective struggle, it suggests he sees these actions as potentially damaging the party's core mission, its image.
And in the specific cultural context of Bihar, where family, reputation, perceived integrity, public image,
Yeah.
they're all deeply tied to political standing.
Exactly. A scandal touching on personal relationships, personal behavior, it can carry real weight with voters there.
But politics is always complicated, isn't it? And the Yadav family itself, I mean, they've navigated their own share of controversies, legal challenges faced by Lalu Prasad Yadav himself over the years.
True. So this decision to expel Tej Pratap might be a mix of genuine concern for the party's image and also a very strategic calculation about damage control, especially with those elections looming large.
What's also fascinating here is how this move could actually end up consolidating Tejaswi's position, couldn't it?
That's a really interesting point. By publicly removing his elder brother from both party and family affairs, Lalu seems to be, in a way, clearing the decks.
Allowing Tejaswi to lead the RJD without the ongoing distraction, or maybe the baggage, associated with Tej Pratap's controversies.
It feels like a calculated risk, definitely, taken at a really critical moment in Bihar's often quite unpredictable political landscape.
And the public reaction online, you mentioned it's been lively.
Oh, extremely lively, as you'd expect. People are having an absolute field day. Everything from, sharp political commentary to satirical memes that are probably spicier than the local food.
It just shows, doesn't it? This intense public interest highlights something universal. People are drawn to stories of family drama, especially when it intersects with power and politics like this.
It has all the elements, yeah.
Yeah.
A compelling narrative. For the RJD, the challenge now is whether voters, at the end of the day, will see this as a principled stand by Lalu or just, another chapter in the Yadav family's ongoing political saga.
So looking ahead, what does the future hold for Tej Pratap himself? 6 years out of the party, out of the family, that's a major blow.
Huge. He's 37, still relatively young in political terms, but being cut off like this, it significantly alters his path forward.
You have to wonder what his next move might be, right? Could he try to form his own political group? Maybe align with a rival party?
Or perhaps, given his history of public statements, that dramatic flair, maybe he'll find another platform entirely. It's hard to say.
He does have a history of navigating tricky situations and somehow staying in the public eye.
He does. If that Facebook post was genuine, he might try to position himself as some kind of political rebel now. If it really was a hack, well, he faces a big challenge rebuilding credibility. Maybe starting with proving that cyber intrusion actually happened.
Either way, he has enough name recognition and that history of unpredictable behavior to keep things interesting, probably.
Definitely one to watch. For the RJD, though, this is a really high-stakes moment. The expulsion could be seen by their base as strong leadership from Lalu discipline.
But it also carries that risk, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Potentially alienating Tej Pratap's own supporters, especially in his constituency.
Absolutely. The party will need to lean heavily now on Tejaswi's ability to lead and leverage the enduring legacy of Lalu Prasad Yadav himself.
And managing the narrative is just crucial right now. Rivals are already painting this as proof of internal chaos.
Right. With elections coming up, the RJD has to stop this family drama from overshadowing its core message about social justice, development for Bihar. They need to shift the focus, and fast.
So, okay, stepping back from the specifics of Bihar for a moment, why should any of this matter to you listening?
Well, because this isn't just some localized political spat, is it? It's a really vivid case study. It shows that complex, often uncomfortable intersection of politics, personal life, and public image.
The drama within the Yadav family kind of reflects the immense pressures faced by anyone in the public eye, really, where even one personal incident or a badly handled online post can spark a full-blown political crisis.
And it's a reminder, too, that even the most powerful political families aren't immune to internal problems playing out very, very publicly.
We've all seen family dynamics, maybe not involving political parties, but we can probably recognize elements of that tension between public life and private life.
More broadly, this whole saga forces us to think about the role of personal conduct in political leadership. Should a leader's private choices automatically dictate their public role, their party standing?
And when a powerful figure like Lalu Prasad Yadav takes a stand like this one, is it mostly driven by a genuine belief in certain values? Or is it more of a calculated strategic move for political survival, political positioning?
These are the kinds of complex questions that echo far beyond just Bihar, aren't they? They offer a unique window into how power works, how family works under pressure, and the relentless spotlight of our digital age.
So we've taken this deep dive into these really dramatic events unfolding within the Yadav family and the RJD.
We've seen how a single moment online, maybe a digital misstep, maybe a hack, depending on who you believe, really trigger a very public breaking point.
We explored Lalu Prasad Yadav's decisive action to expel his son, the strong language he used, framing it around moral values and family traditions.
And the clear message that seems to send about protecting the party's image, especially, yeah, with those crucial elections just on the horizon.
We touched on Tej Pratap's history, the past controversies that likely built up to this moment, and we observed how his younger brother Tejashwi has tried to navigate it all publicly, very carefully.
We considered the immediate political fallout, too, how the opposition reacted, and the very lively commentary and skepticism playing out across social media.
And ultimately, we reflected on how this whole saga, while very specific to Bihar politics, really does highlight those universal tensions,
Yeah.
the ones faced by individuals in the public spotlight.
That difficult balance between personal life, maintaining a desired public image, and just the intense pressures of political leadership.
So it leaves us with maybe a thought-provoking question for you to consider as you watch this story continue to develop. In this often blurry world of politics, how do you weigh a leader's personal choices against their public responsibilities and their role?
Do you see a move like this primarily as a genuine stand for values, or is it more of a strategic maneuver? Political gain, maybe, or just damage control?
Something to keep mulling over as you encounter more news in the coming days. This has been our deep dive, and we really appreciate you joining us.